You are listening to Port Pod. Join us as we bring you entertaining interviews and untold stories from our rugby club, past and present. Brought to you by Southport Rugby Club.
Welcome to the inaugural, the first ever Southport Rugby Club Port Pod, as we're calling it, a snazzy little name that James Cook came up with. We just thought we'd try doing a podcast, see what sort of traction it got, bring Southport into the 21st century where it already is as a club, and get some insight into some influential, important people from the club who may have stories that people don't know about, things that you don't know, things from the past, plans they might have from the future, things like that. Tonight's guest, the introduction could be fucking... Oh, I promised I wouldn't swear. I've gone already. Tonight's guest could be... the introduction could be longer than the actual podcast. But when I go through the introduction, the man who I'm going to speak to tonight has represented Lancashire in a playing sense. He's a former junior Colts, former juniors Colts coach, former senior Colts coach, former juniors coach. He's the head groundsman. He's he got won a Lancashire.
Head. I'm the only one.
Head. Well, you can be the head if you're the only one. He's the Lancashire volunteer. He won a Lancashire Volunteer Award. He's the former first team captain. He played 25 years in the first team. 27, and he's also an honorary vice president. So without further ado, we're going to have a little chat to the man, the myth, the legend that is Shane Cook. Shane, how are you?
I'm all right, Gareth. How are you?
Well, I'm bearing up under the strains of life, mate, but we thought we'd do this to make our Saturday evenings a little bit more entertaining.
Saves talking to Julie.
Well, I mean, we can edit that out. It's fine. Quickly, mate. Well, not quickly. We're going to start at the start and see how we get on with your rugby and how you found Southport. What made you start playing rugby in the first place? And so, what sort of age were you? What are your memories of starting at Southport? How did you become a member? How did you turn up at the club?
Well, I started playing when I was 10. The local partner of me, Ainsdale Rec, there was a rugby league team, Formby rugby league team. They used to play on there. We used to go on there and mess around near them and mess around near the cars. So one day, one of the fellas said, instead of messing around,
sounds very legal, that Shane.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, we weren't all angels like you, Gareth.
Thank you. It's a fair point.
So one day, one of the fellas said, instead of doing what you're doing, why don't you come and have a go at this? So a group of us did. I kind of liked it. And then the following year, I went to school, high school. I started at rugby league, and then they taught me rugby union. Started as an open side, and then at the age of 15, the teachers kind of pushed me towards the club because there wasn't really a junior section then. So at 15, they pushed me and I started playing Colts at 15.
So you went to Southport Rugby Club at 15 and started playing Colts rugby then, which is under 19. That would have been under 19s then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was under 19s then, yeah.
Must have been some big guys you're up against there.
Tell you the truth, I didn't really notice because I thought I was Billy Big Bollocks, really.
Yeah.
Thought I could tackle anything and run into anything then, so...
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So, what year would that have been when you went to Southport for the
Colts section? It was the 86, 87 season.
And who would have been around that time? Who would have been 86, 87? Who would have been playing? Who would have been sort of...
well, in the Colts, you got the likes of Steve Reed, Clody, Col O'Brien. Trying to think who else was there. Daz Mack was there. Memories failing.
Been some great clubmen there. Some people have put a lot of work into the club there.
Yeah. And then the seniors, a lot of them aren't there anymore. Unfortunately, they just stopped playing and stopped coming down.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think that's something we are working as a club to improve on. I think the retention of players who can no longer play because time is undefeated. Unfortunately, it's never lost a fight. You always lose to time in the end. But we are working on these cycling clubs and these other things where you can still be involved with the club, come down and watch, but more socially and sort of still be part of it when you know you can't play. But some of them lads are still playing. Clody's still playing. You know,
Yeah. Mark Garner-Jones.
Mark Garner-Jones. Was he ever a Colt? I'm sure he was born at 150 mark.
I know. Well, he wasn't a Colt when I was there, but he was there when I first started going there. Definitely, he used to watch us.
What was the club like then? What were the facilities like, and what was the atmosphere like in the club? So like 86, 87, was it good?
The atmosphere was really good. You played rugby, you drank, you did silly things, stuff that we probably can't talk about, especially if there's children maybe listening to this.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But yeah, the atmosphere. I mean, the facilities were basic. A lot of rugby clubs were exactly the same. Then they're all very basic. So we had a little gas fire where the big telly is now on the wall. We did have a pool table, which was it acted as the buffet table for when we had dues.
Oh, very good.
So
intuition at its best.
Yeah, and all dartboards and stuff like that. We used to have a darts team there.
For Christ, a darts team. That's I never knew that one. That's for sure. So in terms of if you're playing then from 1986, 87, you'd have been playing senior rugby then. I presume you'd have gone straight in.
Yeah. Played second team. One of the worst games I ever played in was the very last game of the season. We played Widnes and we got hammered 89-0.
I played Widnes similarly and we lost a bit, 90 odd nil. Yeah, that was a dark for me too. I can relate to them sort of losses when you're running around all day and you never seem to get near anybody.
No, I don't think I touched the ball that day either. I don't think any of the senior players trusted me then.
What position would you have been playing in them days, Shane? Because I always remember you as a fullback and then latterly in your career into the centres. But what would you be doing in the early days?
When I first came down, I was at school. I was an open side because I might not look it now, but I was quite thin and I was quite quick as well.
Okay.
Strong. So, but when I first came down, we had the likes of Clody and they were all in the back row, so they kind of shoved me onto the wing and then fullback.
Everybody starts on the wing, mate. It's a fact of life. Everybody starts on the wing. Everybody gets the first shot at senior rugby on the wing. And I recount Joe Morsley tells a tale, actually, which involves you with playing on the wing outside, you and John Roberts for a full season, never touching the ball and never having to make a tackle because you two did all the tackling. He said, I never did anything. I just stood on the wing for a full season. Yeah. So everybody starts there, mate. Everybody does start there. So first team wise, who would have been around in them days? Was Stitch been around them days?
Stitch was around. Pete Jones, Chris Parkinson, Jock McPherson.
Oh, Jock.
Big Jock. He was around then. I think
John
Gillow was John Martin. Yeah, I think John Gillow was around then as well.
John Gillow. You see, what's wonderful to hear about these names to me, Shane, is obviously I wasn't around in them days, but I know a lot of these characters because I've played with a lot of them. There's still a lot of them are still involved in the club, and it's brilliant to see that these guys are. I think more recently, when people stop playing, they lose touch with the club, and I do think that's something we are working on. I think the club is working on, but your Gillows and your Clodys, even Jock McPherson, and to a lesser extent, Jock Martin, all these guys, they're still known around the club, and it's good that they still are in touch, sort of thing. And Stitch, he got an award the other year. He's down every flipping game every week doing the line. He's still there, still kicking around. It's brilliant.
Yeah, he's a proper club legend. He is.
Yes, I can't disagree with you there, mate. So fast forward a few years, I'm going to go to 1996.
God, yeah, right.
It's easy for me to reference because it was the first time I used to watch. I used to watch you play. I wasn't old enough to play. I used to sit in the stands and watch. I would have been 15, 16. Yeah. Some say that's where I should have stayed. But, that's a matter of opinion. We had a very good side back then. We were winning. We won leagues. We did very well in cup competitions. It would include people like, I'm just going to rattle off some names who were around in them days, like Tasker, Hunter, Beetham, Ritchie, Pendleton, Whittaker, Martin, Flipper, Hill, Tyndall, Fellows, Borgie, Kilshaw, Fletcher. I might forget someone in. If I've left somebody out, I do apologise because this is literally going off my memory. Richie Webb, Russ Aikenhead, Ian Greenhalgh, Andy Christian, John Roberts, Chris Jones, Robbie Fawcett, Justin Finn, just played where he wanted.
Even, every position.
Even down to John Van der Meer, who is now our chairman, was playing in that year. Now, I remember that being a particularly good side, very, very good side. It inspired me as a young man. How good do you think that side was? Was it the best side you played in? I mean, that side stayed together for a good few years after then.
Yeah, it was a really good side. I mean, we got a couple of years after that, we got to the quarterfinals of the National Cup, or National Plate it was, where we got beat by Huddersfield.
Wow, you've taken the words right off my page there, Shane. Yeah, I remember coming to Huddersfield YMCA to watch that game. They just had a big lottery grant at the time and they brought in all sorts of players.
Yeah, they did.
We were playing them in the semi-final. We were one game away from going to Twickenham. That must have been although it was disappointing to lose at that stage, that must have been a highlight, really, to get to that stage of such a big competition.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, the only disappointing fact for me was I didn't get on that day.
Were you in?
No. Pete Hill never put me on, the bugger. So, yeah, that was the only difference. I mean, they were a really good side. They were paying players. Like you said, they had just had a big lottery grant. So, I think the only mistake we made that day was that we tried to play him at rugby instead of the way we played. I mean, I remember when Flipper went on, he made a big difference.
Because he was so aggressive, wasn't he? And in the face.
Exactly.
I remember that myself. I think it was, we scored a few tries towards the end.
Yeah, we did.
Greeny scoring one in particular where he tapped a quick tap penalty, ran up to the defence and just, I don't know what he did with his hips, but he got through a defensive line that was perfectly set and there was no way through it. And the next minute he was through the other side, putting the ball down over the post. It was a hard fought game, but unfortunately we came off second best. But it was just brilliant for the club to be on that stage at the time, and we didn't have, a particularly great facilities at our club or great. Well,
we didn't have any money then, did we? I mean, I can still see the picture we got took before the game, and we were all there. We had different socks on, different warming up tops, and they were like a picture perfect side, like you'd see in an international, really, all the tops all ironed and all that. So, yeah, we didn't have any money then. I think it was around that time when John Kenny was trying to get the roof done and all that, and things weren't very good at the club, facilities-wise, anyway.
No, well, he started. It does always bring me into one of my rugby ethoses because I used to watch that team, and I took on board what you all did. It was a really good team to watch. You played some fantastic rugby. It was great to watch. But you get off the bus and three of them would be smoking fags.
Yeah.
And everyone would be going out getting ready to play. And you'd be thinking, and as you say, it was a bit ragtag and bobbletail. There was everyone had different training tops. There was and everyone now, it's all about the stash. Everyone's trying to look the same. To me, I've always said, it's one of Bill Nichols' big quotes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, go on, Shane, you say it.
Don't look good, be good.
Exactly. You don't have to wear all the same kit. You don't have to look amazing. It's about what you do on the field that counts. I've never been a big fan of all wearing nice stash and all looking identical. To me, it's about what you do when you run out over the white line.
Yeah, very true.
After that time, Shane, you went on to captain the first team. How was that? Did we win the league the year you captained? I seem to think we did.
Yeah, 2007, I think it was. We won the league. That was a decent side as well.
Who was around in them days?
Well, you had the likes of Richie Neve. I think John Roberts was in it. John Porter was the coach.
Yeah.
Who I miss him greatly because he was a really good fella. He was great to talk to.
Lovely fella. I always say, if you'd never had an argument with John Porter, you didn't really know him.
No, yeah, exactly.
He wasn't always the easiest to get on with. But
he wasn't. No,
he was a lovely fella. He's sadly, for those who don't know, he sadly passed away. To be fair, I was captain when he passed away, so it would have been 2010, 2011, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, Yeah, I used to swear underneath my breath every time I used to say, right, let's do 600 go down and get ups. We go, why are we doing them? Flipping heck.
Well, the famous story of John Porter's watch, it never used to stop. You'd be like, right, we've got 30 seconds left of this exercise. And you'd be doing the exercise, counting to 30, and you'd still be going for another 30 seconds after that. I'm sure his watch never worked.
I don't think he ever had one.
So the captaincy side of things, what did that mean to get the Southport first team captaincy? Because it's quite I wouldn't say a contentious issue at the moment, but it's quite an issue. Not an issue at the moment. It's a hot topic at the moment, the captaincy and how we choose our captain and the meaning that goes behind the captaincies. Because it was club captain then as well, which in my opinion, quite rightly, has been split into two roles.
Yeah. I tell you the truth, it wasn't anything that I ever wanted to do. I got asked to do it. It's I was made up when I got asked, really. I mean, I was 37 at the time, I think I was, so I was getting on a bit, so I thought my time had passed. But yeah, I was made up when I got asked, and it was a real big honour for me to do it, because obviously been down there since I was 15, so man and boy. I spent a lot of time down there, so to actually be like almost like the figurehead of the club was a good honour. Yeah,
no, it is that great honour, and we always have this thing over your because the Southport Player of the Year award, amongst the many things you've done for the club, is something you've never won, which is quite frankly laughable. Because those who ever saw Shane play or played with Shane or had anything to do with him know how good he was as a rugby player. Me and a few of the other lads always call it the Shane Cook effect. When you play that well every week, everyone expects you to play that well every week. Therefore, no one's surprised when you do. Therefore, nobody votes for you for being the best player, because they just expect you to play that well every week. It's are you disappointed never to have won that, or?
I suppose so. You always want to kind of have an accolade to your name, don't you? But at the end of the day, I just love playing rugby. And it didn't matter what team I played for, if it was the first team, second team, third team, or even back in the day, the fourth team. I remember a time under Bill Nicker, when he was first coaching, I was playing for the first team, he subbed me off, and I went and played for the fourth team over the wall. I just wanted to play rugby.
That's an important ethos to have at the club. You don't necessarily play for one team, you play for the club wherever you've chosen to play, wherever it is. Don't do, I won a couple of awards, and most of them are still on the floor down West Street somewhere, where I dropped them on the way down West Street. You never made it home with me, put it that way. So sadly, I can't put them on the mantelpiece, because they're in 1,000 pieces somewhere in the middle of Southport city centre, town centre, I should say.
Oh well, I've got a award there. It's most improved from 1986, but flipping out, rotted away now.
It was a good year, that, mate.
It was. Yeah.
Careful of the woodworm. So when you finished playing first team rugby, what year was that? I seem to think around 15, 16 maybe.
No, I think it might have been under George. So I think that was 14, 13, something like that. Yeah. It was 20. I did 27 seasons anyway. And I just couldn't play the kind of rugby that I wanted to play. It was just too quick for me.
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point. It's one of my later questions, but we may as well go in with it now when you say that. What is the difference, in your opinion, from when you first started rugby to when in 1996, where you had that brilliant side, to, we haven't gone through your coaching yet, that's coming up, but to the way the game's played now? What would you say the biggest difference is in how we play the game?
The physicalness, I think that's a word. The physicality of then and now. I mean, then it was a little bit more literally boots on than it is now, where now everyone's quicker, stronger. They are quicker and stronger, definitely. I mean, everyone's a gym bunny now, so everyone's got muscles apart from Toots. But yeah, I just think it was a little bit more physical when I first started playing, but maybe not the way it is now. Everyone's quicker, so the collisions are harder.
Yeah, the impacts. Yeah.
Where like years ago, you used to stand on people.
Oh, that seems a little illegal. The bringing of the scrum back 5 metres for both teams has been accredited for taking a lot of this on. I mean, they did it flipping out 15 years ago now, and they won't reverse the decision, but it just creates that big collision in the midfield. You basically, everyone's running at each other from 10 metres apart, head on.
Yeah.
And it does create a big collision. I think
it's a little bit rugby league-esque.
Yeah, with a lot of the head case stuff they're doing at the moment, I think they are going to adapt some of the laws. I don't think that's one they'll change, but I think we will see a more adapted game over the coming years to sort of take out these collisions, because a lot of people are finishing playing rugby on a Saturday afternoon, one weekend, because they're being finished physically, because they'll have pick up an injury and they can't play after that, because it's so impactful, the game now.
Yeah, that's it. It's just people are getting bigger and faster, like I said before, and your body can't take it anymore.
Yeah. If there's anything you could take out of the game, any rule, any law, any part of the game that you don't particularly like, what would you take out of it? What would you remove from it to make it more interesting?
Well, not at our level, but in high levels, I'd stop letting have too many substitutions.
Yeah.
I read an article that Eddie Jones said that about have less substitutions, people get tired, the gaps open up, and you get a more entertaining game then.
Yeah, fatigue will set in. They are talking about this 50-20 rule, aren't they? Whereby if you kick the ball from your own half into the opposition's 22, you get the line out.
That's going rugby league-esque again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But what it does is it forces the defence to drop players, so that you can't kick straight. No, I think you have to bounce into touch. Sorry. Forces them to drop defence to cover, so that you can't bounce the ball into touch, which means more space. So they are looking at it, because I do think that there's a few areas of the game that maybe need looking at to make it more exciting, put more running into it. In terms of the times you've played rugby, is there any games that stick out for you? Is there any highlight reel games? I mean,
we won the league. That was really good, apart from I got a yellow card that day, but we won't go into that.
It's probably unjust, Shane. If they know you, they'll know that wasn't right.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a late challenge, but never mind.
Wow, you were committed to tackling him. You said when you left the changing room, I'm going to tackle him. So that's commitment for me.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That'll do. When you won the league, what year would that have been?
That was 2007, I think it was.
2007. Yeah, I'd have been playing, and that was good fun. I don't remember it. I've had a few bang on the heads. That's the famous photo, I think, with all the Colts, or they weren't Colts then.
No, I think they're like under 12, and then they're all in the first team now.
With your Dan Whalens, your Tom Peacocks, your Bankses, your Callum Monaghan's. There's too many to mention that now all play first team rugby, but they're all like 12-year-old, 13-year-old kids on that photo. It's a brilliant photo for
it is. It
for
really
legacy,
is.
that photograph. I really like it. If anyone hasn't seen it, I think it is up in the clubhouse somewhere. So great, winning the league, great games. Now this is a tough question. Greatest players you've ever played with. I was going to say greatest player, or top 2 or top 3, but there could be more than that. There could be less. I'll leave that one open to you. Who have you played with if you thought that they are brilliant?
Right, let's think. I mean, you've got Greeny. Greeny goes without saying, really. He was a class act. I know he was coming into his 40s when he came to us, but he made a big difference to us.
Yeah, I remember playing with him. He was an outstanding rugby player. And could run a game I say run a game, just score tries from anywhere. He was He was a different level in our team, that's for sure.
Yeah, very true. And then you got the likes of Jock Martin. He did all the grunt work, and he did some of the nasty work as well, that if anything was to happen, he'd sort things out. Same with Borgie. Yeah, Borgie. He did all the horrible work, all the grunt work that you need in a team. You need people who are going to do all the grunt work. It's slightly different now, because everyone's got to be able to do everything nowadays. That's another difference in the game. Everyone's got to be able to ruck maul, pass the ball, make decisions in open spaces, where then you kind of did have a role to play then.
Yeah, Yeah, that certainly has changed. You know, there's not so many piano movers and piano players now. They can all sort of try to do a bit of both, can't they?
Yeah, but we still found Tasker on the wing all the time. So.
Oh God, yeah. But yeah, him and Toots. I'm sure
I know. Yeah.
I'm sure they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, they are.
Toughest players, Shane. Are those guys have you played with? You've gone, Christ, he's tough. He's hard. He really is. He really does get stuck in. I mean, he probably Borgie would come back up again, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Borgie. Again, Jock McPherson. One of the toughest tacklers I've ever not played with but played against was at Colts level. Was Andy Northey. He went on to play.
Yeah, he captains LSH. Sorry, coaches LSH now, doesn't he?
Coaches LSH. Yeah, he played at Northampton. He played for Saints Rugby League.
Yeah,
he one hell of a tackler. He made your bones shake.
He mentioned to Neil Ryan where he was setting up there was a Vets game going on, and Neil Ryan, our former first team coach, he went up to him before we played LSH and said, "Are you playing in that, Neil?" And Neil's like, "Oh no, I don't think so. He's not playing for a long time." He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to smash you." And I think Neil was like, "I'm out. I'm not playing against you."
Oh man, he was horrible to play against him.
Remember, this is just off the cuff. We played LSH in a Vets game. I'm only going back 2 or 3 years. They had St Helens and England international centre playing for them.
Was it Chris Joint?
Chris Joint, that was his name. Chris Joint was playing for St Helens. I remember the first tackle at the first play of the game, you and him. It was like the immovable force meets the immovable object. Smash, wallop in the middle of the field. And I thought, oh, here we go. This is going to be a tussle. And to be fair to you, mate, you got the better of him. You smashed him every time he got the ball, and he was struggling to get near you at one point. He was that was a clash of the Titans if ever I've seen one.
It was. Yeah, I really enjoyed that day as well.
Yeah, it was a good game.
I just wish they'd come down and play at our place.
Will they not come? It's not fun.
No, they won't now.
So with that, you know, I've seen you. I've played with you. I played with you against. Played with you when we played Welsh Welsh touring side. Shane.
Oh yes, thank you very much.
I got abandoned. We won't go into that.
But, no, we won't get into that now.
And play against these sides who are professional, semi-professional, ex-pros, ex-England.
Yeah.
And hold your own, if not better, people. Do you have any regrets about never going and trying to play rugby at a higher level? Does that ever come into your mind?
I suppose no, not really, because I've enjoyed my time so much. Then no, but I mean, I've had people say, "Oh, you could have done this, you could have done that, you should have done this," but half the time, are they just saying it because I'm there? I don't know. But no, not really. No,
I think it's a real difficult one, that, because there's a fine balance. Maybe you could have gone, maybe you could have done well. I think definitely you could have gone and done a lot of good things, but you've been loyal to your club. You put in a great service to the club, which is unprecedented and unequaled in the games you've played, the service you put into your club, and I think that has its own rewards, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It does.
Knowing you can walk into the clubhouse being one of the best guys. Being one of the guys who've done the most there and been one of the best guys there, I think that has its own kudos, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also as well, I've given a lot back. They gave me a lot, and I've given a lot back as well. I think that's what a community rugby club is all about.
Yeah, I think it's certainly the club's been there for me in times of trouble. I occasionally get myself into them, Shane, but it has been there for me in them times. I think it's there for everybody similarly, and in a way, it is that sort of community. So your rugby playing, we're nearly at the end of your rugby playing. We're going to go on to some other stuff. I can't even read my own writing, but the biggest influence on you as a player, whether it be a coach, we haven't really mentioned many coaches you played for who have really influenced you as someone on the playing side that you could that has taught you more or made you better or really inspired you to play.
Roger Stitchbury when he was coaching.
Yeah,
you always wanted to. Yeah, you always wanted to do your best for Rog. Pete Hill, another one. He made you before your game. You felt like you were 10 feet tall. He was that good.
Yeah, he was a very good motivator, Pete.
Yeah, I used to like his training sessions because if you wanted a rest, you just ask him about his sons and he'd just talk about them for hours and then you could have a rest. It was good, that one.
That's not a bad theory on how to do things. Just
Yeah.
excuse me 1 second. I'm just going to make a phone call and order some medicine off my son. You can edit this out if you want. Final thing on the playing side, Shane. Last year you achieved something that is absolutely amazing to achieve as any father, as any player, as anybody who's ever played the game. So you played with your sons. You played with your
all
three
three
sons,
on the same team. Yeah,
Jack, James, and Matthew. I'm doing them in order.
No, you're not.
No, Jack, James, and Matthew. You played with them in the same team. I mean, that must have been a fantastic day for you.
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I only wanted 10 minutes just to get on the pitch, and I got on at half time. I thought to myself, I don't want to let anyone down. But luckily, we played really well that day. And then I think Jack and Matthew scored that day. And one of the biggest highlights for me is we were still playing, and all the first team came over, and that was brilliant. That one,
yeah, it was
really
great.
nice.
We've still got the photo, haven't we? It was fantastic. You've got,
yeah.
I mean, they are. To be fair to you, Shane, they're continuing your legacy very well. James, just for everyone who doesn't know, James has gone to Chester to play at the moment. Jack is achieving man of the matches in the second team. He's only 17, he's a young kid. Matthew is just coming into playing some senior rugby next year, probably, and is an exceptional talent. I've watched him play a lot. I think he's a really good, really good player. So you've got a lot to be proud of there, Shane. How do you feel about them playing, and was it hard work to encourage them to play and follow in your footsteps, or was it something?
No, I have never ever forced them to come and play rugby. James has always wanted to play rugby, I think, because he's always been there with me all the time. Jack went from wanting to play rugby, played football for 5 years, then all of a sudden got bored of football and came and played back to rugby. And Matthew is dallied with rugby, but he's always been a footballer, and now all of a sudden he just wants to play rugby. I think it's more for the drinking myself.
Wow. Well, if his efforts on that trip back from from Carlisle, was it Carlisle on the coach were anything to go by?
Cumbria anyway. Yeah,
he should give up the drinking.
I know, yeah.
4 bottles of Budweiser and being sick. That's.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet you did. I bet you didn't let him in that night. We've not really talked about the nights out and the fun and games because there's not a lot of it that's broadcastable. Do you broadcast a podcast? I don't know. There's not a lot that can go in there, but there's one story I'd like you to just clarify for me. And it's about how did Borgie get that scar around his left nipple?
Well, weirdly, I've got 2 as well.
Oh, have you?
I've got them as well.
Things.
Yeah.
What happened there? Can you tell me what happened?
That was in the old Barons Bar in the Brick, messing around, and we would get not black sambucas, just normal sambucas, and used to light them. But we must have got talking, and the glasses got took, and we used to stick them to our chest and then drink them.
So you'd have your tops off at this point. Sorry to
yeah.
You have to have your top off.
So in the middle of a pub, our tops were off. I mean, I've never had the best body in the world anyway, but got in there, put them on our chest, and then we drink them. Well, this particular night, we must have been chatting, let them burn too long, and when we stuck them on and took them off, it took the skin off as well.
Oh, sounds painful.
We still drank them though.
Yeah, but you did. Sounds like a bit of Savalon in the morning, that one.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until someone puts a Sambuca glass on the chest and burns the skin, isn't it? We'll go on to some of the off-the-field stuff now, if we can. The club has not always been in the position it is now, and I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
To be fair, the majority of my playing time, it's been on the up, which is good. But the story that we've all heard and spoke about before is what a bad condition it was in when you first not when you first, but round about the early mid-90s, it was really struggling. It was Vaux Brewery was screwing them down. And you and Clody, I'm not sure if there was any others involved. I only know this bit of the story. Went round on your bikes on a Sunday afternoon, round to pubs doing a collection to try and keep the club going. Is there any?
There was about 40 of us. We did 40 pubs in a day. I think some of it was done by coach because we started off in Ainsdale, and as we got closer to town, we walked. I think we ended up in the smallest pub on the marine lake.
So you didn't have any drinks in these pubs? You just went in asking for the money?
Well, we had half in each pub.
Well, it's fair enough if you got a lot of pubs to cover, Shane.
Yeah. So we raised quite a bit of money. I think that might have just be the gas bill or something like that.
It was just to pay a gas bill that the club had.
Yeah.
I think that's a great example that people can look at as to, and that would have been, what sort of year would you say that was? 90?
Early 90s, that, yeah.
Yeah, so you can see how far the club's come since then, Although this COVID has hit the club hard financially, it's not in a position where we're having to go, which unfortunately a lot of clubs in the area are. There's a lot of clubs in the area who are struggling for funds at the moment, who are really struggling for funds, and it's incredibly sad, even though some may be rivals or whatever. You would never want to see.
No, you don't see clubs disappear at all now.
No,
you don't. And one of the biggest worries as well is that the players will get kind of disheartened with not playing and then go off and do other things.
Yeah, I think at second and third team level, that's a real problem. You social players who just come in and play. The occasional game may think, I've taken up cycling now because we haven't played for 2 years or whatever, 18 months or 12 months. Yeah. You need to keep people engaged. It's difficult when you can't play, isn't it? So, on the coaching side, Shane, you coached from a junior level. You coached James's age group from a junior level right through to Colts. Couldn't be bothered with Jack as your least favourite.
Well, I was going to help this year, but obviously,
I'm only joking.
There's no rugby.
I'm only joking, mate. Obviously, do you find it? Was it a good experience bringing them through? It must have been great to coach them from a young age and bring them through.
Yeah, it was really good just to see them. Blossom's the wrong word, but just evolve into rugby players, going from like 7-a-side games where everyone are just all tag tournaments where they just all run off and be like ants and following the ball, and then them actually learning structured rugby and actually sticking to it. Yeah, it's really good to see them all.
Good side that as well. It was a very good side.
Yeah.
Some decent runs in some cup competitions. Well, I can't remember off my head where you got to, but
yeah, I mean we won the Northern Vars against Percy Park.
Good side.
Under 17s. We were in the A League of the Northwest League, so
playing high standard, and there's a lot of good players come through from that, which is the club's aim. Your groundsman stuff, Shane. Now that is a time-consuming job. I've seen you out there with your scissors, hour after hour after hour. No, it's a massive achievement, and I think going back to maybe 2010, we decided we were putting some investment into the pitch. They have it Hallertine every year. They have it stuff put on it. You'll be able to tell better than me. How is that as a role? Is it something you enjoy? You must enjoy it. You wouldn't do it, surely.
Oh, I do love it. It's therapeutic just to get out there and make it look really nice, and then you lot go and spoil it by playing on it.
Yeah, sorry about the old rugby. How many hours a week in the summer would you put into cutting that pitch?
It depends. If I keep on top of it, it's not too bad. But I have spent, if I've let it grow too long, I've spent days just raking grass off it, and it took me 2 days to rake the whole pitch, just get dead grass off it to make sure it didn't kill the grass underneath and the seed underneath. So it swings and roundabouts. Some years it's good, some years it's bad.
Oh, we don't want swinging roundabouts on there, mate. I'm doing it.
You're not on it.
We need to. This is the reason why when people are told they can't play on the pitch, sometimes people take umbrage with it, but there's a lot of money and a lot of time goes into it.
Yeah,
we do need to maintain it.
Yeah, I mean it's mainly the junior section. I mean, we have got a policy where the junior section, the 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s, can play on there if they get to quarterfinals, semi-finals of cups. I just want it to be like an aspirational thing to play on there. If they play on there every week, it doesn't become a special thing.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Shane. I couldn't agree more, to be honest with you. But all this work you've done off the field, in your coaching, in your groundsmanship, in all your volunteering, you do sports tours every year. You know, you work as hard as anybody else at the club. As won you a Lancashire award for volunteering, a Lancashire Volunteer Award. What was that day like? You went down to Twickenham, you got the award. Who gave it you?
No, that was went to Lee for that.
Lee? It's almost isn't it? You just took a wrong turn there, mate.
No, I mean, it was a good night out because it was all free beer, so it was really good. But the Twickenham thing is where the club got nominated for an award off for, I think, best facilities or something, most improved facilities. Got to meet Jason Leonard and watch a game as well. So that was really good with Andy Carney.
That was fantastic. Another great man, Andy Carney.
Yeah.
For the club. Well, actually brings me to, I did send out to a few people and say, I'm doing a podcast with Shane Cook. If you were on it, what would you like to ask him? I've only got two questions from two people. One is from Andy Carney, so it's a great, as they call in the game, Shane, segue. He asked, what is your proudest day at the club? Can you remember a time where you thought, this is it? This is like, not this is it, because obviously there's loads of days more to come, but there a day where you thought, this is brilliant. This is really, I'm so proud.
There's been a lot, but I suppose playing with James, Matthew and Jack, that I'd looked forward to it so long, and because I was getting on a bit, I didn't think I'd get there, but I was so made up to play with all three of them.
Yeah, it's the right answer, Shane. It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's an achievement that really is difficult to put into words. I mean, I played with one of my children, and I'm regretful of that, to be honest. But no, to play with three of them is absolutely amazing. We'll just briefly cover. Well, Joe Maudsley sent in a question. Now, I will have to caveat this, or not so much caveat it, but preload it with what. I'm just trying to find his question now, because the way he talks, Joe, is not the way a normal person would. We'll have to preload it with what actually happened. Joe organised a triathlon event to happen at the club.
Yes.
A couple of years ago. It was meant to happen again this year. It's going to happen every year.
Yeah.
It's an annual event. However, obviously this year we couldn't do it because of the restrictions. Yeah. But so Joe sent me this question, and I'll read it verbatim, which. So you've captained your boyhood club. Yes, you've taken to the pitch with your three sons. Yes, you're probably the most respected and admired player ever to grace the pitch at Southport. But the question is, how do you feel about having a mini triathlon named after you?
Do you know what? Another big honour. I was made up when Joe asked me, and I didn't even hesitate to say yes. I mean, it is an honour. I mean, the only triathlons I do is whiskey, vodka, and Coke. So there you go.
It's a fair point, Shane. I might be in your boat with that soon. He's no, he did do it in your honour, and it was quite noticeable. The other, I say probably 6 months ago on the players group, somebody put on, which I know you're not on anymore, and there's a few not on.
Don't do social media.
Well, it's difficult. Someone posted, "Who's the best player you've ever played with?" on it, and still a lot of answers came back as Shane Cook, and none of these lads were played with you anywhere near in your prime. So I think that's a great thing to have at your side, a great accolade that even some of the younger lads who've played with you when you've been in your 40s or whatever have still said he's the best player I've ever played with. And some of them have played with me, Shane.
That's very nice to hear that, thank you.
No, they came back. There's a few rogue shouts, but I won't go into them. I just wanted to briefly, before we come towards a close, go through some of your family's involvement. With the Alice expedition we did last year, your family were very supportive of, as were, hundreds of families within the club.
That was a really good thing, that.
Never forget driving up Hillside Bridge and seeing a man on a child's bike, right, cycling up Hillside Bridge. And then I realised it's not a man on a child's bike, it's Shane on a normal, on an adult's bike cycling up Hillside Bridge. But what was one of the best things throughout that was it got people active and doing things because of the cause that would not normally do them. And Julie, in particular, I remember being a great example of that. She was out on her bike every day pounding them streets. I drove down the coastal road once and just seen her by herself, just driving, cycling down the road.
Yeah, she loved it. And we were out earlier. We just did a quick 10-mile before.
Yeah.
So it's real. She was probably the biggest driving force getting me out as well.
Has it carried on since the LS expedition? So she's not just started with it.
Because of the winter, I don't go out in the winter, but because it's getting lighter now and we can get out, then we'll still go out then. We'll start doing, because we've got a big loop to go out in towards Liverpool and then come back round again, which we're going to do this year.
Brilliant that we're still cracking on with it. Right, brings me to my two final pieces. We're setting up a port pod playlist, which is basically everyone who comes on the pod, they will do they'll nominate a song, it'll go into the playlist, and eventually in 12 years from now, we'll have a full album full of songs. So if you could put any song, a song that I've got a feeling I know who the band's going to be, even if I don't know the song, but I could be wrong.
You're going to be wrong, I guarantee you.
Oh, right, okay. Well, it's not the Specials or Madness then.
Well, no, I mean, I do like the Specials of Madness. But I love the Who as well, and the Kinks. But this is total curveball because my kids know I love this song, and when it comes on, I put it on full blast, and it's Insomnia by Faithless.
Yes, what a song! Great song to kick off the Port Pod playlist. That I never forget you clearing a dance floor in the Odyssey once when a bit of madness came on. Because you got up and started dancing. Wasn't the biggest place in the world, that place, was it, Shane?
No, it wasn't. Yeah, we had some story. I could tell you some stories from down there as well, but not today.
Right, it's a family show, Shane.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we're quickly just going to finish with some 10 questions. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to give you two examples. And
right, okay.
Basically, I'm going to say red or blue, and you're going to choose one. But you have to be as quick as you can. The first thing that comes into your head. Got 10 examples.
Right, okay. Yeah. This isn't a psychological report or something, is it?
No, it's not, mate. There is nobody outside your house ready to burst through the doors. There's no issues with that. Okay, backs or forwards?
Backs.
Bacon or sausage?
Sausage.
Lager or bitter?
Ooh, lager.
Oh, that's too long. Let Shane come on. Marmite or jam?
Jam.
Power or speed?
Power.
Chips or cake?
Oh, chips.
Rook or mo?
Rook.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Scrum or line out?
Scrum.
Rock or pop?
Pop.
James or Matthew?
Oh,
no, it's okay.
You can't do that. Yeah. I'll say Jack then.
I just put that one in at the end. I couldn't get through it, but I'm there, Shane, so I apologise for that. Well, thanks for coming on, Shane. Thanks for doing this. I hope people have listened and thought, well, they've learned a little bit about that and maybe a bit about Shane. And if you see him at the club, they'll know a bit more about him.
Mine's a Guinness if anyone does.
Mine's a Guinness. Do you want to say anything before we have to go, Shane?
No, but thank you for letting me be a part of the first one, Gareth.
I'm
fantastic. Honoured.
I couldn't have thought of a better person to interview. Literally, probably the greatest player I've ever played rugby with and one of the nicest men I've ever met. Shane, please, can we just encourage your family, and I'm sure you will do, to carry on. It's amazing support, the whole family of the rugby club. You're a pleasure. You're an absolute pleasure and a gem of our rugby club. And thanks for doing all that you do, and keep fighting the good fight.
Oh, thank you, Gareth. Will do.
All right. Speak to you soon. Take care.
See you soon, Gareth. Ciao.
You are listening to Port Pod.